Good afternoon. I'm George Anderson, and I'm delighted to welcome all of you to this very special event, Nashville's celebration of the Bicentennial of Greek independence. This event is being live streamed all over the world, literally, to television in Greece and all over the country. So I'm so glad everybody's here. To begin our program, everybody's already standing, but please stand for the national anthems of Greece and the United States of America. The national anthem of Greece will be sung by Anna Maria Miller, a member of our Greek community, as well as a Nashville Metro school teacher, music teacher at Hume-Fogg Academic High School. Anna Maria.
Σε γνωρίζω από την κόψη του σπαδιού τη τρομερή. Σε γνωρίζω από την όψη που με βιά μετράει τη γη. Απ' τα κόκαλα βγαλμένη των Ελλήνων τα ιερά. Και σαν πρώτα αντριωμένη χέρ ελευθεριά. Και σαν πρώτα αντριωμένη χέρ ελευθεριά. Και σαν πρώτα αντριωμένη χέρ ελευθεριά.
And now the national anthem of the United States will be sung by Nashville's own recording artist, musician, and songwriter Damian Horn.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Anna Maria and Damian. Wonderful. As a proud member of the Nashville Greek community and a long-standing member of the Nashville Parks Board, it gives me tremendous satisfaction to be standing here in front of the Nashville Parthenon with our mayor, John Cooper, with the leader of the Greek Orthodox Church of America, His Eminence Archbishop Elpidophoros, and the ambassador of the Hellenic Republic to the United States, Ambassador Alexandra Papadopoulou. This moment truly testifies that Nashville is the Athens of the South. Our Nashville Parthenon is as much an homage as it is a statement. Nashville built this amazing structure in 1897 to pay reverence to the ideals of Hellenism, classicism, and to the city's culture, which honors these ideals. Today, The convergence that we're celebrating, the Bicentennial of the Greek Revolution, commenced on March 25th, 1821. A celebration led by Mayor Cooper with the presence of the Archbishop of America and the Ambassador of the Hellenic Republic demonstrates and affirms the values and cultural significance of Nashville as the Athens of the South. Thank you all for being here. Now, before I proceed, I want to acknowledge and welcome His Eminence Metropolitan Nicholas of Detroit, our hierarch here in Nashville, George Horiates, the president of AHEPA, for being here and traveling here today. I also want to acknowledge our Parks Director, Monique Odom, I saw her earlier, and the Director of the Parthenon, Wesley Payne, and thank them both for the support and assistance in today's event. Wesley, a Phil-Hellene through and through, is retiring in June, and the Parthenon will certainly miss her leadership. We've collaborated so much together over the years. And I want to especially thank my good friend and fellow Hellene, Butch Spiridon, and the Nashville Convention Visitors Corp. They for their enormous contribution for putting on this event. So thank you, Butch. Now it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and our mayor, John Cooper. The mayor is a Phil-Hellene in his heart and soul, and we appreciate his recognition of Greek Independence Day. Mayor Cooper.
Thank you. Thank you all so much, and thank you, George, and your Eminence, Archbishop Elpidophoros and Ambassador Papadopoulou of the Hellenic Republic. It's an honor to join you all today. It's an honor to see former Mayor Bill Purcell here in the crowd and Monique Odom. And I want to have a special shout out, no offense to Butch Spiridon, who has contributed awesomely to the modern Nashville. But I wanted to point out to the ambassador, our kind of most beloved citizen is here with us, Dimitra Kalodimos. And it's always, we so miss her in our evening at 6 o'clock. And thank you to our neighbors in the Greek community, especially our friends at St. John and Holy Trinity. These are such important parts of our community in Nashville, and we are so grateful, Archbishop, for their presence in our lives every day. And as we celebrate the 200th anniversary of Greek independence, I cannot think of a better place in America than here in Nashville at the Parthenon. Now this monument it's more than a landmark in Nashville, and it's more than an attraction. It's both of those, but it's more than that. It stands here in Nashville because Nashville fully appreciates the Hellenic tradition and how irreplaceable and central that tradition is to all of Western civilization. Now in 1824, I'm going to give you the whole story because we're all here and I think it's important that we know this. Reverend Philip Lindsay took over a single struggling college in Nashville. And his leadership of Cumberland College included a big vision for our city. And his vision was that we would become a center in education and the arts. And specifically, where logic, language, and philosophy would thrive as it did in the golden age of Pericles. Now, as a frontier town at that time, that seemed pretty aspirational, but he was the person who said, Nashville shall be the Athens of the West. Now, we think of it as the South, but back then we were viewed as a Western town. And the founding of Robertson Academy here in 1806 led Nashville to become the first Southern city to establish a public school. And 9 colleges and universities were established after the Civil War. These were institutions of national prominence. But by the end of the 19th century, Nashville boasted the largest scholastic population of any city in the country. They were attending 4 female seminaries, 3 minority colleges, including Fisk University, Vanderbilt, 3 medical schools, 3 schools of pharmacy, 2 law schools, 3 large dental schools, including the largest in the United States, and a complete public school system. So by the end of the 19th century, we felt that we had succeeded in becoming the Athens of the South, originally of the West, then it was the South, and then came time for the Parthenon to commemorate that feat. Now, Major Eugene Castor Landis ordered its construction For the 1897 Centennial, an international exposition where right here hundreds of thousands of people came from all over America in one of the big centennial expositions of that time. And that event really kind of transformed Tennessee and created Centennial Park here as a place in our hearts. It is from here that suffragists marched on the legislature downtown to demand votes for the women, all from this site, this portico right here. Now, the original Parthenon was a replica, and it was only intended to last for the 6-month duration of the exposition, but 124 years later, here it is, it still stands, and it draws visitors from around the world, but this is not that Parthenon. That was made of wood, and it took a decade of research. It was so popular that we were going to do it right, we're going to do it the Nashville way, and we're going to make it out of stone. And research and study went into the design, and the two Nashville architects, Russell Hart and William Dinsmore, invested in every detail. So to accurately replicate the iron oxide stains of the actual Athens Parthenon, they dredged a brownish yellow gravel from the Potomac River and used that for the stain. And to create the marble replicas and temple structures, they went to the British Museum in London and used casts of the surviving fragments from Athens. And yes, Archbishop, those should not be in London. They should be in Athens. And I think the City Council has passed a resolution saying those Elgin marbles need to be returned. And they relied on sketches made by a French artist made in 1674. Just 13 years before the Parthenon, the actual Parthenon, was destroyed. They went back to the only good existent sketches to reconstruct the actual Parthenon. And 57 years after it was completed, a Nashville artist, Alan LaQuire, had built the Athena Parthenon inside. If you haven't seen it, it's, I think, the largest sculpture in the West. It is actual gold. It is 41 feet high. It took him 8 years to do it. 8.5 pounds of gold, of 24-karat gold, are on that statue. But I want to spend a moment on why this matters and why this careful attention, thoughtfulness in design, and loyalty to history is important. I believe Nashville is taking care with its Parthenon because we appreciate the noble heritage that Greece has brought to our city, a love of logic, of language, of liberal arts, all as forecast when we were a frontier town. And today, visitors can see productions of Euripides' Medea and Sophocles' Antigone here at the Parthenon. There's 63 paintings by 19th and 20th century artists on display in the lower level, and thousands of our city schools are studying history, and they find their own voices and form their own identities as they become critical thinkers, but led to us in the Greek tradition of doing that. Now, there are 30,000 young people in Nashville's universities and college today. They're spending their formative years here looking at this tribute to Western culture. And all this activity, there are studious tributes we pay to this Hellenic tradition. And we honor that today, and we want to honor particularly today the heroes of 1821, the Philiki, Eteria, and all Greeks who fought on land and sea to liberate their homeland. We as Americans feel and appreciate that. And we honor the culture, the language, and the faith of the Greek people, which they refused to surrender after hundreds of years of brutal occupation. And we take this occasion to renew our respect for the tradition of critical thought, debate, and civic passion. That tradition you have lent to us, inspired to us here all the way in Nashville, Tennessee, from Athens, Greece. But long live the heroes of 1821, and long live Greece. And so it is proclaimed by the city of Nashville. Thank you all very much. Archbishop, should I come over? Super. Very good. Archbishop, a proclamation. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. Thank you, sir. So great. Appreciate it. Bless you. Thank you. So great to have you. And so great to have an ambassador in town. All right. Tell them back there how much we love them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper. Now, please welcome the Ambassador of the Hellenic Republic, Alexandra Papadopoulou, who came from Washington today to be with us, and we're so grateful for you coming. Ambassador.
Thank you.
If everyone wants to sit down, it's okay.
It is indeed an honor to be here today, to participate in the celebration of the 200th anniversary of the start of the Greek War of Independence. 200 years ago, Greeks took to the arms in a really desperate quest for freedom and dignity after 400 years of Ottoman rule. They were poor, they were destitute, they were desperate, but they had faith and they were determined to live free or die. The Greek diaspora, then, as always, was at the forefront of this struggle, and the Greek Church provided, as has always been the case, the nurturing ground that helped preserve our language, our culture, and our faith. The world community responded with awe and admiration, and soon the Hellenic movement was strong and thriving. This movement was particularly strong in the United States. The American Revolution, which had taken place only a few years ago, on that date, had inspired the revolted Greeks. The correspondence between Thomas Jefferson and Adamantios Koraisa, one of the intellectual leaders for the Greek Revolution, is a testament to the close ties, the interaction, and the inspiration that the Greeks took from the Americans who had revolted a few years before. 200 years later, the principles of the Greek Revolution are still valid and pertinent: freedom, democracy, and rule of law. They are the shared values of Greece and the United States, and they form the basis of the strong and unbreakable partnership between our two nations for all these 200 years. From the oldest democracy of the world to the biggest and most powerful one, from Athens, the birthplace of democracy, to the Athens of the South. Thank you for this beautiful ceremony. Thank you for honoring my country. Thank you for preserving Parthenon, the only one outside Athens, the symbol of Greek democracy, of Athenian freedom. Mr. Mayor, thank you. It's an honor. And Mr. Mayor, yesterday, when I came here, I met Mr. Butch Peridon, who told me how much Nashville is thriving on tourism. And since Greece is, yes, Greece is a touristic place, I thought that it was a good choice. You know what it is? These historical posters from the last 100 years of Greek tourism promote Greece around the world. So it's like an historical thing.
Very much. All right, one more thing we have in common with Greece.
Exactly. Apart from Athens and apart from the Greek community in Nashville, which is so strong, so thriving, and makes all of us so proud. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This is, you can take this.
Thank you.
Finally, please stand to welcome, for the first time to Nashville, His Eminence Archbishop Epithelis of America, the Exarch of the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople and the spiritual leader of the Greek Orthodox people of the United States. Your Eminence.
Please be seated. I was telling my new good friend here in this city, Mayor Cooper, earlier, that God loves Greece and God loves Greek people as He loves Tennessee and Nashville. Because God granted us today this beautiful Greek sky and this beautiful Greek sunshine, apart from the chilly wind. Dear Mayor Cooper, Madam Ambassador Papadopoulou, fellow Greek Americans and Philhellenes. Mr. Mayor, on behalf of the Greek American community of the United States of America, and on behalf of all those who love Greece, I want to thank you and the citizens of Nashville for this special commemoration of the bicentennial of the Greek Revolution. Furthermore, given the events of recent days, I want to assure you of our prayers for those who lost their lives and all those affected by the floods. Standing here in front of the only full-scale replica of the Parthenon in the world, I feel an overwhelming sense of pride. A pride that here, in this city, the heartland of America, such appreciation and love for Greece expressed so manifestly is deeply moving and inspiring. Nashville has been called the Athens of South, and it has certainly earned that designation in name and fact, onoma και πράγμα, as we say in Greek. The Greek revival of this city is much more than its past. It is clearly its present as well. With the Nashville Parthenon, you have created an extraordinary tribute to classical Greece, complete with the magnificent effigy of Athena Parthenos, the tallest indoor statue in the Western Hemisphere. This alone bespeaks your city's love of Greece and all that she represents. Not to mention the cupola atop your state capitol, which I just visited, a distinguished copy of the Choragic monument of Lysikrates that lies just below the Acropolis in Athens, Greece. Furthermore, because this monument of your city, created for your centennial in 1897, also serves as a museum, complete with casts of the Parthenon marbles, you are keeping alive the quest to return these historic treasures to the Greek people and to the Acropolis, where they belong, as you so well said, Mr. Mayor. Let Nashville and her Parthenon be the megaphone that tells the world the Parthenon marbles deserve to go home. These marbles are the solidified soul of Greece, stone from her mountains and miracles of her intellect. They can only be truly honored in their native land, in Greece. Today, Mr. Mayor, our presence with you and the presence of Ambassador Papadopoulou, who embodies the Greek state, is a sign of the bonds of culture, bonds of philosophy and faith that connects us, despite the miles from Nashville to Athens. Your observance of the Revolution of 1821, of the Greek 4th of July, that for us is on March 25th, has great significance, Mr. Mayor. Your recognition of the fight for freedom that Greece waged for more than a generation speaks of the values of conscience and self-determination that all people of goodwill embrace. The bicentennial of the Greek Revolution appeals to the sensibilities of free people everywhere. For life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are the objects of every citizen, no matter their city or state. The Greek heroes of 1821 sought to throw off a yoke of tyranny endured for 400 years, and to create for themselves a more perfect union. Greece, the fountainhead of democratic values and the wellspring of the Western civilization, was deeply inspired by the American patriots of 1776. And it is of note that the struggle to end the slavery of oppression in Greece also fueled the abolitionist movement here in the United States. Again, on behalf of the Greek American community, not only here in the Middle Tennessee, but around the country, I thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I thank all the citizens of Nashville for this honorable observance today. Thanks are due as well to His Eminence, Metropolitan Nicholas of Detroit, for his presence. To my good friends, George and Leanne Anderson, for their wonderful and indeed legendary Southern hospitality. To Bud Spiridon and his team, and to the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church for its warm and heartfelt welcome. As you know, this is my first visit to Nashville, and you have all made it a most memorable one, but it will not be the last, I promise. May God bless this city and keep you in safety, good health, and spiritual prosperity. Long live Nashville and long live Greece. Zito to Nashville, zito η Ελλάδα. Dear Mr. Mayor, in the Orthodox Church, we have a special image when we want to draw and show the hospitality. And this image for hospitality in the Orthodox Church is the image of the Holy Trinity. And this image is our Patriarch Abraham and his wife Sarah offering hospitality to the three angels, as it says in the Old Testament. This is the sign of hospitality, but at the same time, this is the only way we can depict the Holy Trinity. I want to offer you this sign of hospitality to you and to all the citizens of Nashville for your hospitality.
Thank you, Your Eminence. So grateful to you. So marvelous.
This brings our program to a close. Thank you all so much for being here on this chilly day and for your participation. As the Archbishop said, long live Nashville and long live Greece, Zito y Elava. Thank you for being here.